I go in again, a little bit more. Kind of just let it all kind of bleed. Hello, lovelies. I'm so happy to have you back on this channel. So today we're back in the studio as usual. I've been doing a lot of meditations lately. Well, my morning meditations, not a lot of meditations, but a daily meditation in the morning. And I generally have conversations with my guides during my meditations. And I've been getting a lot of messages from goddesses and fairy alike surrounding water. Water's usually tied to emotion. So I'm not really sure why it's coming up for me right now. I do find it interesting, especially because I've been feeling too that, we have to be careful with our water and how we consume it as far as like how much we use of it. So I guess water has been on my mind as well. But because I keep getting all these images and the cards I pull too, because I pull cards for myself after my meditations, happen to always be recently about water somehow relating to water or emotion, which is related to water. So actually, I'm thinking that I want to play around today and make a painting of a water fairy. Now, there are all kinds of water fairies. Let's start there. So I'm just gonna make something up that I feel like is what I want to personify this water fairy, because when we're talking about water fairies, we do include elementals, right? And elementals generally don't show up as a figurative being. They show up more as light or other energy other energy. And it's hard to paint that unless you're just painting light, basically. And light is really not that easy to paint, but you can do it. But I was curious of what I can come up with. So let's try that today. Let's try drawing and painting a water fairy. Let's see what comes out. I'm excited. I think this is going to be really, really fun to do. And I don't know, I just have like all these ideas swimming in my head. No pun intended, swimming. My dog obviously didn't find it that funny. He's just like, oh, what a funny joke. Yeah, so actually, and I've been looking through one of Brian Froud's books. I don't know if you know who he is. So Brian Froud is like, with him and Alan Lee, they were the original illustrators who did Fairies, which was a book called Fairies. It was a large book. I have it too, and I'll show you guys. But this is like a follow-up book. This one, and here it says best-selling author of Fairies. So Brian Froud and his wife and Alan Lee all work with the fairies, and they do all these beautiful illustrations. So this one's great because it's good fairies on one side, and then you flip the book and you have bad fairies, which I don't necessarily would categorize them as good and bad. There are definitely fairies that are not I don't want to insult them, so I'm just going to say they're not as friendly as other fairies. Let's just keep it at that. Let's keep it at that, okay? Because I don't want any trouble. So with that, I have an idea what I want to do. And I think the Water Fairy will sit nicely next to her. So I'm going to work with on the other page. Even though it has a little bit of paint on it, I think it's okay because it's blue and it's fine. We're doing water. So, hey, you know. So let's see. Let's get started. Let's get started. I'm thinking like, I just want to have like a body of like almost like a puddle, right? So like a water here, right? So we're gonna have like water here, but I kind of want her sitting in the puddle or kneeling in the puddle, right? So kind of. So kneeling would be here, right? So her. I'm trying to decide, do I want her kind of bending a little bit? Like, no. Not really. I tend to make my fairies kind of long. And their faces either long or squat or like kind of rounded and with pointier chins. That's usually my way of doing them. That's just the way I like doing them. So I'm trying to decide if I want to kind of bring her arms kind of forward a bit. Right, so she would, I guess her hands would be in her lap in that case, because unless I really foreshorten it. I'm not great at foreshortening, like that's probably the best foreshortening I can do. Foreshortening is not easy at all. You know, not at all. Foreshortening is really hard to do. I thought it was one of the hardest things to learn. I feel like I want to get a book on foreshortening or something, because so then we're going to have her, let's say she has her hands in her lap, right? In kind of a cupped situation, I'm going to say. So like, let's say her hands are there, which means her arm would be going like this. Like that. Definitely feel like this arm needs to be elbow shouldn't be as strong and as bent in this situation, right? So I just want to see something in a second. Yeah, no, this one feels a little weird. That one feels better. because that one, the elbow drops further. So she could have an outstretched arm, but I feel like it would be more... that's very frustrating. Like this one's right. You see? So I would have to do the same thing. So I guess I'm gonna have to go out to here, bring it over like that. Alright, so, and then it comes from over here, and then, right, so thumbs on the outside, low. They're not really human-like, right, so it doesn't really matter that much. Alright, actually I'm going to use my kneaded eraser for this here. Grab a small piece. That looks weird because so cupped, her fingers would be up. I feel like I just need a reference. It's hard to draw hands without a reference for me. So I definitely want to have a reference. Let me see.
Constant learning to flow. All the unknown lemons thrown.
Let's get her face going, and so I'm gonna move this over a little bit for myself, and then I'll zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better what I'm working on. So okay, so I'm going to loosely put her eyes in.
I learned what lemons can do. Lucky they led me here with you.
So, I don't know. I'm feeling something. I'm feeling like over here there's like interesting kind of body, land body type thing. And then there's like, I don't know, some sort of structure. I'm not really sure what the structure is. It looks almost like a church, but it's not quite. It's almost like a castle, but not even quite. But I'm going to keep it really loose in the back just to give a hint of this thing. And there'll be greenery, you know, maybe some trees even. That sort of thing in here. I think that'll be nice. Okay, so I think I have an idea of how we'll do this. So let's start with a little bit of the background, and then we'll get into her. So, all right, we're gonna use a few watercolors. I'm probably gonna use a little bit of mixed media type stuff as well. So, like, I never do 100%. Watercolor, because I do like to go with pencil and stuff like that. So there might be a little bit of colored pencil in here. I actually lent my Caran d'Ache watercolor pencils to my mother-in-law, who is currently staying with us. She's an artist as well. So I lent her my paints, my watercolor pencils. So I'm not going to be using them today, but that's okay. I actually really just prefer anyway, straight up painting. So, okay, my loves. I'm going to clean these up here so I don't have a hot mess on my palettes. Since I'm starting fresh. Look at that nice hot mess of... This is what happens when you mix colors. When you mix a bunch of colors, you get brown. Everything ends up in brown. Just different shades of brown. But that's generally the case. What happens when you mix colors in, doesn't matter the media. When you mix a lot of colors, you're gonna get brown. All right, so that side's clean. And I clean this up. You know what? I have a bunch of other paper towels that I just got wet. So I accidentally spilled my watercolor water into my poor dog's container. So I cleaned that out. And so these are all wet from that. And it's fine. I just want to clean it, you know. I didn't clean it before I was done because I wasn't sure. You know, a lot of people, and myself too, I will keep sometimes the palettes and these things with the color that I was using, especially if there's a lot of it, because I might want to use it again. But starting new painting, gonna clean that. Right, so let me get some paint brushes going here. Maybe start with this one. I love these. So these are, I've shared these before, I think. These are the Princeton Neptune. I wonder if you guys can see these because it's kind of a little hard to see. There we go. Princeton Neptune Square Wash. This is 3/4 inch. Princeton makes these synthetic squirrel brushes, and they're great. I love them. I absolutely love them. Okay, so I'm going to see what I want to start with. You know, I need to finish making my chart, this chart, but I've wanted to film it so you guys can see the rest of it because I have to make the whole video of it. But I haven't done it yet. So I'm kind of flying blind on some of these colors. Oh, that is gloriously beautiful. That is gloriously beautiful. Now, I'm wondering if I want to wet this paper a little bit. Actually, just give it a spritz to do my watercolor. Start off the background. All right, so let's go with this. And we're going to go in here and let's see what we get. Oh, I love it. That's pretty. That is pretty. I kind of want to also use this big guy. Just kind of, because this one's very moppy. This one is a square wash, right? But this one's kind of does that. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I don't want it to move it around too much, so I'm gonna wait to dry a little bit. I definitely want her hair to be kind of, like, I think like this color is really beautiful. I can't remember if I used the acrylic paints for this one. I'm gonna say yes because of the saturation. I think I did. those are my gouaches, aren't they? See, with the acrylic paint's a little harder. I don't like using them on my palettes here, so I'm gonna have to put them in the palette here. Oh yeah, no, that's what I used. I think that's what it was. Yep. Okay. Yes. It is a turquoise. I'm gonna use this as my gouache palette. I really need another one. I need a bigger one, like the Meeden one. So I'm gonna put a few drops in here. I'm gonna put a few drops in here of this. So I think this hairline also is a little too high, so I want to put it here. Right. Okay, so I started with that. Okay, I'm gonna show you the color of the water because it's really pretty. Look at the color of the water, isn't that nice? She'll be like all sorts of tones of turquoise and blue, I would say. Maybe the sky's pink. Maybe. Let's see. What do we think about something like this? No. 100% equivocally, no. That's a big fat no. No. Okay. Let's see the quinacridone. How I like it. That's pretty, right? Yeah, that's pretty. But I really want it super washed. Like super duper wash. Like super, like extra wash. Take that off and then that sort of thing. Yeah.
Change is constant, learning to flow. All the unknown, lemons thrown. May look different from what you've dreamed.
A quick tool check-in, right? So I am using all my new watercolor brushes. They're all from Princeton. There's another one from Princeton, the Neptune collection. This is number 6 Quill. I love this one. It's very like moppy. And then I have this smaller one, a smaller version. This is a round, also from Princeton Neptune series. Also a 6. And I had started using that one when we first started, which I showed. I love the color of the handle. But to be honest, I prefer rounds over all brushes. I tend to paint with a lot of rounds. I have a lot of round brushes. And then I'm using the Schmenk, I don't know how to pronounce it, watercolor set. And I'm also using, which I showed you guys before, my Meeden watercolor palette or gouache palette, whatever you want to use it for. This is a porcelain, and I have all my Daniel Smith colors on there, and then like this iridescent Winsor Newton in there. It's an iridescent medium. And that's what I'm painting with right now. And then I used where's the ink that I was using? This is the Liquitex ink. And this one is turquoise, and that's the color of her hair. It's the one I just used. And what else? Pencils. I use a Staedtler 2H. That's generally what I like to sketch in a 2H. HB, I feel like, especially when it comes to watercolor, HB gets too messy. It's too soft to lead. And I also really like the Staedtler Mars plastic eraser. I think this one works really well. And of course, a kneaded eraser is always needed. Haha. So those are my basic tools for my watercolor. And I also have a little spray bottle with water and all my cleaning rags. My water sitting here, and I have 3 containers. This is my dirtiest water, my next, like my less dirty water, and then my clean water. And then I use this rag to kind of like mop off stuff here, clean it, mop off again, and then go into the clean one and wipe off again. Because you can get really muddy, with your colors. I have an additional palette over here. This is my gouache palette. And I have the turquoise from Liquitex acrylic ink in here. And yeah, and then I'm using the Hannibal sketchbook, which I'm not crazy about, to be honest. This paper is really thin. So thin. I prefer the fluid books like these guys, Fluid, which I think I've shared before, Fluid 100 cold press. These guys have a really good, and it's 100% cotton. It's beautiful paper. This one's 300 GSM or 440 pounds. So anyway, we'll continue on, but right now I'm gonna take a break. So I have this container outside my studio, and I believe that it was used to maybe hold probably the old garbage bins. It's completely fine. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not really dirty or anything. It's just basically a big wooden box, and some of the wood's rotten on it for sure, but some of it's actually in decent condition. So I'm thinking I might use it for something. I'm trying to figure out what I want to use it for. I was thinking planter, or maybe even using it for a bench. I'm gonna think on it. But yeah, because I want this whole section here where I have my little gnomes and fairies. Like here, we have my little gnomes and fairies. This whole little like garden area in front of my studio. I like these beautiful big trees. Now we're in fall, so everybody's lost their leaves already. But I want to create like a beautiful little oasis here. And that needs to be moved, and I need to do something with it. Because it is an eyesore, and yeah, so if you have some thoughts on what I should do with this, let me know in the comments. I'm thinking either bench. My original thought was to create like a little fairy village inside, create a cutout and everything, but I'm thinking just creating a fairy village throughout the whole thing. So I think this would be great either as another planter. I was thinking even cutting it in half and having 2 planters, maybe. Or maybe planter and seating of some sort, or just seating. I can use the wood to make a small bench or a couple of little benches. I don't know, ideas, thoughts. I can even use those stumps over here and make like a natural looking seating with it. I can take the planks, sand them down, and then maybe try to get these guys leveled off at the top to use them as the base for the seating. I don't know, I'm thinking about it. I think it might be a cool idea. So yeah, I'm trying to think of like what I want to do for that stuff, because that's the kind of projects I like doing now, like in the fall and the winter, where I could be outside and it's not super hot. I'm sorry, I'm like having a hard time seeing. But also things I can do outside. Since gardening is coming down to a real halt, I have some stuff still in my greenhouse and in one bed, and I need to continue mulching before we have like real winter here, although the temperatures have been dropping already into the 30s at night. Yeah, so if you have an idea of what you think I should be making with that, you know, my carpentry skills are, I would say, on the novice side, you know, like I'm learning still and I don't have any proper training. My grandfather was a carpenter, so I learned a little bit by watching, but yeah, I need to learn more, and I feel like as I make things, the more I learn.